Here we go. We're starting it off. Here we go.
It is 8:41. Newstalk Sauga 960 Raw. Mike Richards along with David Bastl. The holidays. God, they're not that far away. And for some people, apparently it started like 2 weeks ago. Like really, just in November, and you've got some people have their Christmas trees up already. Oh, come on. I mean, we have rules. My rule is after Grey Cup. It got to be after Grey Cup. That's just my rule. That's how people. Some people, when is it? Then you're off the club anyway. You're out of the club anyway. I don't want to talk to you. So we know what the holidays, what it brings, and it's usually, sadly, just gorging yourself. Some people just never learn, and we all eat probably a little too much because stuff is great. There's wonderful foods. But now what do you do? Because you're going to find yourself bloated and, your digestion. And if you keep doing it and you weren't healthy to begin with and you're carrying around some extra pounds, there could be some issues. So Joan Serro, who's joining us here this morning, our good friend. And so we know that people are going to eat. We know that that's going to happen. So now what are some outs? Bell Lifestyle Products has so many products. What is the one or a couple that we could use to combat this food fest?
Well, I'm glad you asked. So yeah, a lot of people don't realize that our kidneys get very taxed when we overindulge. We think a bit more of our digestive system, which we'll touch on as well. But our kidneys do very important work within our systems. They eliminate wastes, of course, balance our electrolytes, synthesize vitamin D, which is very important for our immune systems. Our kidneys cleanse our blood, and they also balance the pH of our blood and our systems. And if you have, let's say, blood pressure issues or any circulatory issues, congested kidneys can make that issue worse. And in fact, a lot of people have high blood pressure because their kidneys are congested. And it can also create high levels of uric acid because we're not eliminating our waste properly. And that can lead to issues such as gout, which many people have flare-ups of over the holidays. So taking care of your kidneys can really help mitigate a lot of issues. And we have a really great kidney cleanse tea. That is a bulk tea that is similarly prepared. Many of your listeners, we've talked about our prostate tea before. And in our series of embarrassing conversations in the past, we covered the bladder teas as well. So it's a bulk tea that's decocted. If you go at the kidneys intensely and you have issues, that can result in a bit of a cleansing crisis. It's not always the best. So the kidney tea is a really nice way to help to get those kidneys functioning properly, to kind of help soothe things in times of overindulgence like the holidays. And it's a tea that can be enjoyed all year as well.
I was just going to ask you, so you mentioned it's a bulk tea. So, and I've had a couple of the teas from Bell. I haven't had this one. I'm very curious about it. As far as, so you could make like a month's supply. Do you keep it in the fridge? Is it that sort of tea? And also, do you have any, reviews of taste or anything like that? Because a lot of times I'll get people asking me about different things. How does it taste? How does the protein shake taste? How does the tea taste? How do they, because they'll be more attracted to it if they can maintain it and man it down without sitting there going, oh, this tastes like Buckley's, which clearly it doesn't. So maybe a quick talk on that.
Yeah, so it is a tea that can be made. I wouldn't make a month's supply. I'd probably do more like a week, leave it in the fridge. 2 cups a day for acute, and then you can go down to 1 cup a day. It tastes really great. It actually has some lavender in it. Like our other teas are really palatable. And it features herbs like parsley, which you wouldn't think might be in a tea, but it's a really nice, gentle diuretic. Marshmallow. Who doesn't like marshmallow? That's in this tea. Yeah, so marshmallow, which will soothe any irritation, astragalus, which is really good for the immune system. And one of the main kidney herbs, diuretic herbs known in herbalism is uva ursa, which is bearberry. And all of these herbs happen to taste quite good. Astragalus can be a bit harsh, but there's just a little bit in there and it's balanced with the lavender. So I don't know if you've had our teas, either our bulk or our tea bags. They're actually quite, tasty might be, add some honey, but they're pretty mild.
Yeah.
Well, Dave, because Dave, you've had a bunch of those teas, right? Like you use them on I don't know, a regular basis, but you've used them.
The easy digestion tea I've had. And yes, I've had a couple others that I'm trying to remember, but yeah, it's, I find it more convenient, Joan, that because I'm not a tea guy or a coffee, like I've never had a coffee in my life. So I've never sat there and made that, but I will make the tea if I know that I can store it in the fridge and pour it like a glass of water or something of that nature. So that's kind of where you get me as a customer kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's why I kind of like this as well. So you set it up, you make it, you store it, and then you just grab it like a glass of water and take the cup, or however amounts you need for that particular day. And that's what I find easiest. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And it can be enjoyed cold as well. So that makes it easier. You don't have to heat it up again. In fact, I probably wouldn't recommend that because you could boil off some of the chemicals that are necessary. And then like going into, as you mentioned, the easy digestion tea and the constipation relief tea. Those are tea bags, so a bit easier to prepare. Usually you steep them each for about 3 to 4 minutes. And helpful for overindulging over the holidays. The constipation relief tea also a really mild one. It helps with peristalsis, which is a medical term for getting things moving. And it's non-addictive to the bowels.
Let me just stop you there, because a lot of times, you hear these words, and constipation is something that comes up in most of our lives as young people. Don't really think about it because it kind of doesn't happen all that much. And for some people, maybe they're unfamiliar with even the state of being constipated. For those that deal with it, or those that wonder how does it happen? Why in our bodies would someone be constipated? Like, what is happening inside, and is it solely based on what you're eating? Like, what is that?
It really depends on the person. There's lots of different issues, but basically wastes aren't being eliminated properly from the system and removed. And the herbs not only help to get, in the kidney tea or the constipation relief or easy digest, they don't just help with moving things out, they help with removing toxins from our tissues and our cells, and then helping to eliminate those. And you want to have that in a combination. You don't want to be just taking a herb that will be removing wastes. You got to make sure that you're eliminating. So, for our metabolism and our systems to work properly, it's really important. And then, yeah, definitely, like if we're eating, a lot of times during the holidays, we're eating foods and combinations that we don't usually eat, or we try to maybe restrict a little bit at other times of the year. So our bodies might not just really be used to processing those foods. We might have allergies we're not aware of, or irritations. Things like dairy can be a little hard for some people to move through the system, eating tons of cheese and bread and that kind of thing. And then food combining is also important. So it's counterintuitive, but if you can get your desserts in before your big meal, protein digests a lot slower than carbs, like fruit and pies and that kind of thing. So, or even just space it out a bit, like, as an Italian, we like to really pace out our meals over several hours.
Yeah, hours.
And courses. So if you have your dinner, let's say at 6 o'clock, maybe wait a couple of hours before having dessert, and that, things like food combining can help. But yeah, there's a lot of different reasons why people get constipated. And the constipation relief tea can definitely help with that. And then we have our easy digest tea, which can help with acid reflux, bloating, spasms, gas, that kind of thing. It can be taken before a meal to mitigate things like acid reflux, or after if you're experiencing symptoms. And then both of those are really easy to have, during the holidays. You don't have to boil it ahead of time. You just throw it in the tea bag, just like brewing a normal cup of tea.
I find that when taking the Easy Digestion Tea, I find it's exactly what you just said there. It does help you break down food a little easier. It is what it says it's going to be, and to do it beforehand, not necessarily after. I find as long as it's working into your system, it's don't go gorging on food and then think this is going to fix it immediately after. Kind of help yourself before, kind of thing. You're running the race and then you decide to train after. It doesn't really make sense to me. I don't know, maybe I'm looking at it the wrong way, but that's how I find it.
No, I think you're right. I think definitely that is the Easy Digest Tea, especially, is something that you want to take about half an hour before a meal. Sometimes we don't think of taking these things until we're experiencing the symptoms and the pain and the bloating. So then you can take it after. Absolutely. It's still going to help with that. But yes, like you said, or maybe depending on how intense your meal is, maybe one before, one after.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So if we're talking desserts, Italian desserts, are you a big Italian? See, I like drinking booze. I don't like eating it. So sometimes like zuppa inglese, a lot of, if you really soak the booze, like if there's a lot of custard with booze in it and fruit. See, I always disappoint my friend Vinny Shore. He's like, you got to have some, Michele, you got to have some of this stuff. So that would, like tiramisu, depending on how it's made, if it's not too like boozy or custardy, if it's made properly, tiramisu is unbelievable. Unbelievable. What's your favorite dessert? Italian dessert. What do you like?
Italian dessert. I like the obscure ones that no one's ever heard of, that have weird names like tortellini. Italians like tea.
What is that? What is that?
It's kind of hard to explain. It's kind of a very rich cookie that's made with molasses and honey. It's almost a little bit chewy. It's a bit of Italians, tiramisu is quite popular, and yes, it has to be made properly to be enjoyed. But some of my favorite Italian and just European desserts are a little bit more plain, maybe a little sweeter, but basically it's just like dough, honey, molasses.
All the good stuff. It's funny.
Yeah.
We were in Florence. We're in Firenze, and I'm looking at this one dessert. Well, something you would have at dessert time, and it's like there was like biscotti, but they were dipping it in wine. They were dipping it in wine, and I said to Vin, what? Hey, what is this? He goes, oh, the wine is called. Now I'll get this wrong, but it was like Crema de Cristi, the Tears of Christ. It's like a communion wine, and I go, what is it called? The Tears of Christ. What a charming name for a dessert. What are you having? What is your child? Oh, dipping cookies into the tears of Christ.
Into the tears of Christ. Well, you do like to be dramatic and
yeah. Some people just like Twinkies.
No Twinkies.
Yeah, no, it's hard, a thing. I get
like
that.
Hard cookies that maybe hurt your teeth a little, and you gotta, it just helps to dip it in some wine.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Then you have to need, and then you need the Easy Digest Tea.
Well, that's how you tie it in. But see, that's a nice thing. I like one of the best things that I like about having Japanese food. It's not heavy, right? I mean, it's a really nicely, very nourishing, enriching, and fun. All kinds of things. At the end, like a green tea for me, because I'm not normally a tea drinker, but having just a little of that lighter and having a tea, that seems to work. The green tea seems to be nice too.
Absolutely. And I mean, traditionally, like after, for example, and this is in some of our teas, like anise or fennel will be served after an Italian meal. Green tea, in Japanese cuisine, all different cultures have always incorporated herbs and sometimes, usually more in the form, like for Italians, of aperitifs in the form of alcohol.
Yes.
There's a lot of, alcohols that are liqueurs that are actually extracts of herbs that are used to help you digest. So having these herbs as a part of your meal is actually quite traditional in all cultures. So.
Yeah, that's very, very true. You know what, Joan, thanks so much for joining us here. Always love to see you. Things are going well for you. Hopefully you're doing well.
Things are great. It's great to see you both before the holidays. And thanks for having me on.
Yeah, if we don't see you, Bon Natale. If we don't
Bon
see you
Natale.
beforehand, yes.
Absolutely. Have a beautiful holiday.
All right, you too.
Same to you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Take care. Bye.
That is registered herbalist Joan Serrell joining us as she does from Bell Lifestyle Products. Another great morning talking the kidney cleanse and function tea, easy digestion tea, and the constipation relief tea. It is